Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Enigmatica to Expert. So last episode we set up our reactor, and this thing, of course, we ran it for a while. Everything's running great. It's very good news. And today what we are going to be doing is just pushing on and finishing this system out. That means getting recyclers set up, that means getting cables connected, that means getting fabrication going. So let's go ahead and get started. I did prep up some more cables and stuff. I threw our armor in here just to free up some space, so we're looking all spiffy while still wearing our hazmat suit, just to be on the safe side. Now, I also got some MFSUs crafted up and some other stuff that we're going to be using today. What we're going to do, the very first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and set up our recyclers right here. So right in this little space is where our recyclers are going to go. So let's go ahead and get this started off. And of course, recyclers, they're going to take that cobblestone that's coming from the cobblestone generators, and they are going to create scrap with it. Now, I am going to have to run some power over to these. That's perfectly fine. That's not going to be an issue for us. I'm going to do all these three for right now. I'm not going to have enough transformer upgrades. I'll get some more crafted up, but we've got a bit more setup to do anyway, so it's not a big deal. But we're going to go ahead and throw some transformer upgrades into these recyclers. And then we're going to pop around behind these, and we're going to go ahead and just run some cables. I should be able to hit that one from the side, actually. So that should be okay for us. Let's go ahead and do that. And let's see. Yeah, and then I can use conduits probably on that middle slot, which should work fine for us. Let's go ahead and do that. And then right down here, let me go ahead and just pull up all this. And let's see, this stone, I will have to facade there, but that's not a big deal. That'll just be an Ender IO conduit facade. It's going to go there, but we're going to go ahead and just bring this down for right now. And we are going to connect it, see, that's the line that runs up to that centrifuge, which is just a temporary line, but this cable is going to stay permanent. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and pop over to this side. This is where these MFSUs are. These are the ones that are connected up to the reactor itself. Let's go ahead and just bring these down. We don't want them to connect into this cable line. This is directly to the reactors only, pulling through power. So we're going to go ahead, let's go ahead and just run this cable line back. We're going to be doing a little bit of cable logistics within this episode. So this should start pumping out some power. You can see some power draining over there. Should be sending it over into the recyclers now. If we pop over to these, I'm not currently sending it over. Oh, that's because I haven't plugged up the rest of this. Let me go ahead for right now. Let me just snip this off. We'll get back to this here in a little bit. But this is running a lot of other stuff, and, well, it shouldn't be an issue, but until I get the reactor set up, I don't want to mess with this stuff. So we'll just snip that cable line off for right now. And we are going to run this over like that, and just plug that up, and you can hear the reactors kicking on. There we go. Or the recyclers, not the reactors. But this is going to start running these recyclers and creating scrap for us. Now later on we will add speed upgrades and all that. You know, in the past we've had it so they're running just constant, just pumping that stuff out. We are going to do that. This one's not having a ton of luck. It's not 100% chance, of course. But there we go, there's one. And we'll have to upgrade these as we upgrade the recyclers with more speed. And then what I want to do, I want to grab some ejector upgrades. Now these are very cheap to craft if you craft them 9 at a time. No reason not to, really. And we're going to go ahead and just shift right click there, and then we're going to take this, we're going to drop it in. And then we're going to shift right click there, and we're going to drop that in. And then we are going to shift right click. Whoops. There. Drop that in. Now did I think I'm setting that to down actually. No, that's right. Okay. I want it to face in these specific directions. And then we're going to go ahead and do that one on this side and set it there. And basically that's going to tell it that it can eject to these specific sides. Now if you don't do that, the ejector is just going to try to eject its items into whichever direction. May not be a big deal because there is the cobblestone generator, but this is going to reduce lag because it's going to specify you're only going to check in this one direction. You know, you're not going to check on all these other sides. Cobblestone generator from nuclear craft, it may battle with itself saying, well, I can eject to there, but I can't eject to there, you know, because technically the cobblestone generator does have an inventory, but you can't insert items into it. It just basically stores up cobblestone. So we've got that in place. Now what I want to do, let's go ahead and pull this up. I want to see about a crafter, just some kind of crafter. Now technically we could do an analog crafter. Because I think like these would be beyond our means right this second. No, technically I could make one of these, which isn't. It's not a bad deal, really. Batch crafter would also work, of course, from IC2, but we're not going to be using the batch crafter. We've actually used that one, I think, in the past. But the reason we're not going to, first up, it's a little bit more laggy than some of the alternatives, or at least it was. You know, half a year or a year ago or whatever, but also because we don't have really the space to pump power into it and have some kind of extraction cable that we have access to right now connected to it. You know, we don't have wireless extraction, so we're going to have to go with some physical form of cable. So really it's between probably the analog crafter. There is this, but that's going to be beyond our means at the moment. But realistically, I could pull this off fairly easily. Yeah, let's just do this. Let's just go get some stone. Now, in addition, I am going to need to basically transfer this over into RF. I don't believe that RF tools can accept EU-based power. We're going to check it, but, well, once again, I have the issue with the cable. So, yeah, we're going to change this over to RF before we send it up. But let's go ahead and get our machine block. So there's that. Now getting the actual crafter, we're going to have to make a couple analog crafters and a couple redstone gears. Give me just a second to get that crafted up, and I also need to get one of these generators, these electrical engines, though really with this we could just do an energy cube, which is all fine and good, which is a direct conversion without needing the electrical engine, but I think right now the electrical engine might be just easier overall for us. So let's go with this. I'm going to make up one of these. I'm also going to get some conduits real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I went ahead and just ran some power over to this recycler, so it is starting to produce some scrap for us. I did get the other transformer upgrades in there. And I got our crafters crafted up, and I went ahead and crafted up a bit of transformer upgrades because I really don't like crafting them right now, like kind of manually. And it's easier just to go ahead and craft them up in bulk. Now I'm only going with the crafter tier 1. We don't need anything more than that. But if we place this down, there we go. You can see they're automatically dumping scrap into this. We're going to set this, we're going to leave it, we'll set it to speed fast. Ignore redstone, and the only recipe it's going to know, it's going to go to the external, and we're going to just do this recipe right here to make scrap boxes. We'll go ahead and apply that. So it's ready to go. As soon as it gets power, it's ready to go. It's going to start making scrap boxes. I do suggest you go ahead and turn all your scrap into scrap boxes because you're going to get more benefit from a scrap box than you are from just doing scrap. Now technically also at this point you could start creating things for free, because if we take a look at, I don't know if it tells in JEI, to be honest. Maybe it doesn't. I don't think so. But if you open up scrap boxes, you can actually take these. Like, for example, if I grab... let's just go ahead and grab 18. Not a big deal. Oh, quest complete, recycling. because I hadn't held the stuff. But if we take some of this scrap, we turn it into a couple scrap boxes, we can actually right-click these. Let me move that. And you can see we just made a piece of redstone, and we just made a wooden hoe. But, I mean, you're going to get a lot of junk, but there's like a 0.5% chance, I think it is, or something like that, that you could get a nether star from it. So technically, like, it's mainly vanilla items and IC2 based items, but you could technically make a little system to generate a variety of things, including nether stars, using these scrap boxes. But that's not what we're going to be doing today. For the most part, there's easier ways to automate all those things. Unless you have like just IC2 based pack, then scrap boxes are a bit more important, I think. But what we're going to do, we need to run some power into this first, and then we'll have to get to item extracting. So let me just grab that and that. We'll go ahead and just start. We're going to say extract is always active on these cables. Now this, not going to connect that. That's not even going to try to connect. And then we'll go ahead and just run it out one more block here. Now I'm just using standard energy conduits because we're not actually going to be pumping a whole lot of energy. We're not going to be creating a whole lot of energy, and we're not really going to be pumping a whole lot of energy into this. And I'm gonna stop moving the item conduit right there because I really don't need to move it anymore. I could have gotten away with one less craft. I knew it was going to be close, but I wasn't exactly for sure. No, don't want that. I want it the other way around. Let's go ahead, set that there. And I do not want the item conduit to connect. I just want the energy conduit to connect. Now I am going to need to get a quick stick. So let me just grab this. Alright. And we'll just put our lever there. There we go. That's going to start creating power and sending it to our crafter, which is now going to start crafting our scrap boxes for us. Our scrap boxes. So there we go. And you'll notice, I mean, it's not creating a ton of power, but it's creating enough power. Now, long term, we may need to buff up the power gen going into this, but an easy way to do that is just switch the electrical engine for a mechanism energy cube. Presto, you can pump this into an energy cube and pump it out through a conduit. So, but now we've got that in place, and we've got scrap coming down. Now, what we need to do with scrap, and with all of our excess power, is we need to send it into a new machine. Now, if we open this up, go to our industrial craft, recycler quest, that's done. And we get a villager market. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to be tasked with making is the mass fab. It produces UU matter at the cost of tons of EU and optionally scrap, or scrap, otherwise known as scrap. But let's go ahead and see about getting ourselves a mass fabricator. I'm sorry, matter generator. There we go. There's that. Quest complete. And we're going to get another loot chest for that. And we got a scanner. Cool. I think we've already gotten a couple of those from quests though. But okay, so the mass fab, or the matter generator, what we're going to do, we're going to set this guy up. Let's see, if I pull this away, I should be able to pull all this away. Yeah, let me just set this up. And the matter generator is HV, so I'm going to go ahead and throw just a couple transformer upgrades in there so it can accept, you know, some more power being ran into it. And this is where we're going to start splitting our power that comes out of this. Because basically I want to store power until I can't store power anymore from the reactor, and then I want it to go to the matter fab. So basically that way we're not, you know, low on power that we're trying to use while the matter generator is just running, just I'm doing fine. And so for this, what we're going to do right here is we're going to use a splitter cable. And this is going to be coming out, we're actually going to rip off a piece of this. And we're going to put in, we're going to do it right here, I think. And we're going to put in an MFSU. Now this MFSU is not really going to be visible, but this is going to be our buffer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a redstone signal coming out of this. And grab this cobble. Let's come down a couple blocks. And we are going to put a redstone comparator right there. That's going to read from this MFSU. And it's going to say, you know, does this have power? Then go ahead and emit a signal. Now I am going to bring this out just a couple blocks. Let me get some redstone. I've got some up here. Let's go ahead just right over here. Let's just bring this out like a couple blocks. Now technically I'm gonna have to run it back that way, but that's fine because I'm gonna have an IC2 cable. Actually, I could set it right there because the liquid heat exchanger doesn't connect to a cable. So we're just going to run this cable out. This is the one that connects into the matter generator. And it has to be an actual like redstone line. It can't be, most cables won't work for this. Let's go ahead and just bring this out one more block. That's only 2. So one more block comes out. And we'll run this out with a redstone conduit, which I think I have some over here, if I recall. And now that I think about it, I think I do have some item conduits too. But okay, yeah, I had some in the storage building, so I may have some more loose somewhere. I don't know. My stuff's starting to become a mess again, so I'm gonna have to do another like sorting spree, basically. I've been waiting till I finish IC2 out. Has been the main thing I've been waiting for. So let's go ahead and we'll just put in some redstone conduit here. We'll say you can input, that's going to be on the red signal line, and then we'll just bring this over down to here is fine. And what we're going to do is just put the redstone here. Now it's already checking. Let's say output is on the red line. It's already checking over here, doing all the checking that we need to do. So if there's at least a signal of 3, then it inputs the redstone, sending it over to here, which I think will upscale it once again back to 15. That's fine. It doesn't really matter for us. So at this point, this is where we're going to put our splitter cable. So right there sits our splitter cable. Oh, and I need to invert it. I'm sorry. Let me grab this back. And we'll feed that in, and then this. And this is a little bit bigger than what we'd have to do, but I'm just doing it with just regular redstone. It's cheap and it's going to be out of sight, so it doesn't actually matter for us. So this feeds over into here, and then of course the signal comes out. Now if once this is filled up, once it basically has enough power in it, which is above a 3, then, or a 3 and above, out of 15 of course, it's going to then send a redstone signal over here, shut off the torch, and power down this redstone. And so this is where we're going to have the splitter cable, which basically whenever it has a redstone signal, it is not going to allow any power to flow through it. And so that way we can basically toggle off and on. Like for example, if this disconnects, you see that the cable then connects over here, but when this is on, it disconnects the cable. And then we're just going to run this straight up and into there. Okay, so power can flow through this only when there's enough power within the buffer that's over there. And that way we prioritize sending all of our power through to the like machines and things that need it. And then if we have enough power, then it goes into the matter generator and just dumps all the excess power just into there. And so then what we're going to do is just connect this over like so. And so if there's not redstone in this, you'll see that this starts running. You can hear it. And it's crafting basically a bit of UU matter. But then as soon as the redstone comes back on, it stops. Now, you will notice that plugging that up will have drained a decent amount of power from this. Not a ton. And if I disconnect this back, we can actually craft our very first... There we go. We have 1 millibucket of UU matter. Anyways, at this point now, what we can do is we can actually engage our reactor again. Because if this fills up, if all of our MFSUs fill up, then they're going to start feeding power over to the mass fab. Let's go ahead. Let's hit that lever. Get this back up and running. There we go. And right now the matter fab is not running, but as soon as this stuff starts filling up, it will begin to run. Now you will notice power transferring through this, but that's why I set the buffer just a little bit higher, because it is going to require that it at least has a decent amount in the MFSU before it starts transferring power into the matter fab. And really, I guess realistically what I might do is run, instead of running it like that, let's run this cable over instead. Let's do that. And let's just disconnect this cable line. And let's do that. Because what that does is that means it's going to, instead of pulling power from these, which basically is going to create this loop where this will be toggling redstone on and off a lot. Instead, what it's going to do is this is going to fill up to a certain point, and then the reactor's power will be able to directly feed over into this, instead of the mass fab power being drained off of the MFSUs. Once this starts getting some power in it, it's basically just going to keep, like, it's going to take a little bit of power as upkeep, but the redstone signal is probably going to stay off, or on, I guess technically, like all the time. So I think that'll be a bit better for us. Hopefully that makes sense. Now what we're going to do, I don't know if I want storage for scrap boxes. Probably not. I don't really see a point in storing up scrap boxes from this. We've got 41 in there. That's great. Let's go ahead, and I can actually pull off a couple of these item conduits because I ran them down a little bit further than what I necessarily need. We can actually pull them off here. And that'll save us a couple of conduits. I'm just going to do that. Yeah, and I'm going to leave it because I'm going to have to go down anyways to get around the stairs, so this is fine. We set this up, and then we say that you can insert. So scrap boxes are going to start coming into this. But right now, of course, it's not running. It doesn't have any power running through this, so it's just going to hang out. But those scrap boxes are going to speed the whole process up. Once this starts getting power, which is, it'll start getting power before too long, and then that redstone will kick off. We'll start seeing all of this start to activate. Now at this point, we're going to switch over. This, we'll be able to see this start running here in just a minute. But we've got our cables ran so that it prioritizes things. And at this point, I think we should be okay to go ahead and connect this up, I think. I don't really see any harm in it. So we'll go ahead and do that. Because it's not going to send the power from here over into the matter fabrication. So, okay, so this is starting to build up power now, as you can see. And we should start seeing the redstone start activating. At certain thresholds, you know, 1/15 of power storage, we'll get a 1, and then 2/15 and 3/15 of total power storage. So, roughly somewhere around in there. But that does mean that the matter fabricator should start kicking on here in a minute. Now what we need to do is we need to make some pattern storage. We talked about these briefly, I think last episode, because we said we're going to need mining lasers for that. We're also going to have to make this crystal memory, which is just pulverized obsidian and silicon dioxide dust, which we can make this with the centrifuge running clay dust. So let me pop up. I do have some clay dust made up. But I didn't prep this the other episode ago because I didn't have a centrifuge. And technically I can make it through, I think it's the manufactory, another pressurizer, but I'd rather do this a little bit more correctly. So there's 64 clay dust. Let's go ahead and just dump this into the centrifuge, get this heating up and running. And we should, here in just a moment, we should see that kick on. Yeah, it looks like this has activated. We do have a power of 1 right now, as this power has begun to fill. So about 1 million power in this, and it's going to start sending power somewhere around in there. And it will still probably siphon some power into that MFSU, So it shouldn't be kicking off. Even if we're slightly running our machines, it probably won't kick off on us. So, but there we go. We're starting to get some silicon dioxide dust. It's going to take a little bit, I guess, to get enough of this. So I'll have to let that run for just a minute. I might just AFK for just a second. So this is starting to produce that for us. If we take a look in the centrifuge, we have a bit of the silicon dust now. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a couple of these raw crystal memories. We are going to need some more of these today, but one's fine for the time being. And now we need to cook this up. And I'm just going to pop over to our electric furnace, toss that in, and there we go. There's our two. No, they don't stack. Okay. I didn't think so. They don't normally, but it's worth checking. There is our pattern storage. So, there we go. Quest complete, and we get a loot chest from that. And we got some fish sandwiches. Now, if we open this back up, the scanner is the next thing we need to make. This is where things start getting a lot, to be a lot of fun. There we go. There's our scanner. Quest complete. And we got a hamster wheel. And then the last thing is the replicator. This right here. And this is the more expensive thing because it does require these teleporter blocks and frequency transmitters. These aren't really expensive. They do not stack still though. But let's go ahead. Let's get ourselves our teleporters. There we go. And then we'll get our replicator. And quest complete. Let's grab our loot chest. And we got blocks of ironwood. 1 block of ironwood. I think we haven't even done Twilight Forest in this pack, I don't think. I do not believe. Okay, so our replication station is actually going to be right over here. And let's go ahead. Let's pull up these blocks. And we're going to put in our scanner setting here, I think. And then we're going to put in our pattern storage setting here. Now the scanner is only going to accept HV power, so really I probably need to make a transformer. So let me just pop over. Let me get a transformer real quick. We're going to need one of these, the HV transformer. And I'm also going to need some fluid conduits and some kind of a tank as well. So yeah, give me just a minute. Let me get, I'd like to get pressurized fluid conduits, and as far as a tank goes, I'm probably just going to go with a standard portable tank, maybe throw an upgrade on it, just to store our UU matter for the time being. Okay, yeah, you can see without scrap boxes, this has slowed down enormously. Slowed down a lot. So we're definitely going to want to speed this whole process up fairly quickly. But what we are going to do, let's go ahead and set up ourselves. If I break this back, it's not too bad. We've got our scanner, our pattern storage. Let's go ahead and put our replicator setting here. That's actually behind. Yeah, let's go ahead, pull that away. And what we're going to do, we're going to run out some cable, and it's going to connect. The replicator can take the 2048 without issue. So we're just going to pull it back by 2. We're going to run it down. Actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and set up our HV transformer, feeding into the scanner. And if I place this down, I think the larger side comes out here. This is the higher tier that comes out here, and the lower tiers feed into it. So let me break that off real quick. And what we're going to do, let's just put in our transformer setting. Nope, that's an MFSU. And we're going to feed this over from these, I do believe. Because these will be machines. These aren't going to be running all the time. These are very specific times that they're going to be running. Now, eventually we will have automated replicators set up and everything. like set up to automation and whatnot. But these sides are all output because the larger side, you know, is the 2048. So I actually need to flip this over. So there we go. Now we've got power. Everything's good. All right. So the scanner, pattern storage, and replicator are in place. Now what I need to do is I need to run over some fluid. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to store it into this tank. And I did make one upgrade, so let's go ahead and just throw that on there. And let's go ahead and we'll say that you can insert, I guess I'll go this way and we'll just facade it. That should be fine. And let's see, our matter generator is right there. Let's just pull up all this stuff. And we're going to say that, well, I'll extract here in a second, but let's go ahead. There we go. And then we're going to tell this to begin extracting, always active. So it's going to pull all the UU matter that's been created from this. And it's going to pump it over into our tank. We've got 35 millibuckets. Look out. It's not going to make anything right now. And then we're going to go ahead and say that you can extract, you can insert, and so we've got some UU matter in here. Okay, so now what we're going to do, now that that's all in place, we're just about done for today's episode. I think we're actually going to have like one more IC2 episode probably for right now, maybe more, because I still need to, I was thinking I still need to do speed up stuff. But the very first thing they want us to scan is Iridium, but I don't think I have enough of it. We're going to have to go out and try to find some of that. Yeah, because we've only got 6 Iridium shards, but I think I can actually scan Iridium shards and replicate these, in fact. And also many machine frames and stuff we can replicate. And I want to see about fuel rods also. But let's go ahead, pop over to our scanner, throw that in. Yes, we can scan Iridium shards. So it's going to take a while to scan this, as you can see. Now let me pop over real quick because I know we've still got some overclockers. I found them in the storage building actually. There we go. Yeah, we've got 4 of them. And this whole replication system, of course, this one is going to be our manual one. But like I did mention, we are going to have automated ones connected up to like our AE2 system down the road. So, but we'll go ahead and throw in an overclocker in each of these. It's going to increase the power consumption by a little bit, but it's going to make it run just a little bit faster also. Produce more scrap boxes, thus producing more UU matter that way. So, but these will need to be sped up a lot. I had quite a lot of overclockers in my setups before, but we need to get the carpenters and stuff in place and start. We really need to start mass producing coolant also, which is fairly easy to do. And if we look inside of here, it takes 11.13 millibuckets of UU matter to make that. So we're going to go ahead and save it. If we look inside of here, you can see we've got Iridium shards. Wow, this is all kinds of messed up. Yeah, I'm going to have to see between this episode and next. I haven't released the last episode yet, so I do apologize, but I feel like this is starting to become a bit of an issue. A little bit of an issue. So I'm going to see about fixing that because this is all kinds of busted. But I wanted to go ahead and push on into this. But what we can do is we can actually click here and select Iridium shard because basically the scanner sends it to the pattern storage. The pattern storage then can send it and supply it to the replicator. So let's go ahead and say, repeat. Go ahead and start making us some Iridium. And it's going to take that UU matter and it's going to consume it and make us Iridium. And I'm going to go ahead and set it to single at this point because we can only really make one more. So we've got 3 Iridium shards now. So let's go ahead. Uranium fuel rod. Can I scan this? Does this work? Nope, it no longer works. So we're actually going to have to... Oh, it's going to make our reactors a little bit more difficult to run. Not a big deal, but it is going to make them slightly more difficult to run. I think we got enough for another single of Iridium shard. Yeah, it's 11.13 millibuckets. So there we go. There's our 9 Iridium. And then to turn this into iridium ore, we have to basically compress it. So let's go ahead and get this running. Get ourselves some iridium. You will notice a lot of things, it doesn't take a whole lot of millibuckets. I think the highest is like 200 millibuckets. So your UU matter actually goes pretty far as stuff goes. But all right, so there is our piece of iridium. And we get our loot chest. And we got factory blocks, 64 of them. Okay, now this iridium, we can then scan that. Okay, our scanner is done. You can see it takes 100 millibuckets of UU matter to make the iridium ore. And while we're scanning some things, can I go ahead and scan like advanced machine blocks? I'll go ahead and get that going. But the nice thing is, like most of the machine blocks, like for example, we can do the IC2 ones. I think we can do the machine case from Tesla Core, machine frames from thermal expansion. Like once you get one of these crafted, you scan them, you never have to make them again. You just replicate them. And we're going to be producing a lot of UU matter. As we expand things, we're going to be making a whole lot of UU matter. And the nice thing about UU matter is you can make a ton of it with literally this. And, you know, this little setup and one of these. It basically all comes down to your power generation. Long term, it might be beneficial to have 2 of these running at like full speed because fact is we're going to need a ton of iridium. And a ton of everything else. We're going to need just a ton of UU matter. But for now, and for a very, very long time, this will be all of these that we need. We just need to keep expanding on our reactors, keep expanding on our power generation. Though reactors end up, long term, they will not be our biggest power generation within IC2. But they're going to lead into our biggest power generation in IC2. And it's something that's going to take a while to get set up, for sure. But with that, we are going to end out this episode here because I know that it's about wrapping up point. We got everything ran, cables set up, our powers ran, you know, pretty intelligently so that it knows. Like if we take a look, just really quick, if we take a look down here, pretty good chance that this MFSU is filled up or close to it. It's filled up, right? So basically it's going to take a little bit of power to upkeep that, but the majority of our power is now going over here into mass fabrication. But yeah, so we're going to end out this episode here. Next episode, there's a pretty good chance that we will finish out these 2. These are actually fairly easy quests, and they're passive quests. We are going to do another IC2 episode, I think, next episode, but not really because of these 2 things. These are just like, you know, oh, the reactor finished running, we pull something out, we run it through the centrifuge, and that's pretty much all there is to it. We are going to be automating the feeding of our reactors. So that our uranium fuel rods are pulled out when they're emptied, they're ran down, new ones are implemented as long as we have the uranium, and we're going to automate the crafting of this whole process and set up a couple little crafting lines that are important to running this system. We'll do that next episode, and then we're also going to do a little bit of overclocking within this system, but not a ton. That's going to be something that we just kind of passively add on to. But I do want to get the recyclers up to at least the point where they're producing scrap box positive within our matter generator, because I don't like seeing this, because we're pretty much just wasting power at this point when we really just need more scrap boxes being made at the moment. So but yeah, so anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out, and I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.